Welcome to Attunement with Courtney O'Keefe. I am your host, Courtney. Today we have Jacq Gould on. Jacq Gould is the founder and force behind Your Inner Babe, a global self-connection movement guiding thousands of women back to their truth. Through group retreats and transformational live experiences, she helps others rewire self-doubt into self-trust and remember who they are beneath the noise. Jacq, thank you so much for coming on today. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You are on the solar plexus episode. And when I was thinking of this energy, I have a really good friend who went to one of your experiences and she told me all about it.
Love
And
that.
I needed to have you on after I heard about it. So
Great.
thank you for being here.
No, I mean, I'm so happy to be here. I have chills that, that's what brought me here. We love that. That's the point, right? That's the whole point.
Exactly. Could you share with the audience a little bit about yourself before Your Inner Babe?
Oh yeah. So I battled an eating disorder all throughout my younger years. I was a performer. Broadway was my dream. And it's the dream that brought me to New York City, where I went to college. And in college, I hit sort of my rock bottom. I ended up going to an outpatient program. I got amazing clinical help while I was there, but I would leave that therapeutic setting and I just still felt like I was alone. I felt like there was this huge gap where when I was there, I felt supported. When I would leave, I felt like I didn't have anybody who was really helping hold me accountable, helping me learn any sort of skill that I could implement into my life that was going to make a real change. Something to help me focus on the now, which, is the only moment ultimately that we have. And like I had all this awareness, but I felt like I was settling in that awareness without any action. So, fast forward, I got healthy. I ultimately took my life back and I tried on a few other careers for size. By the time I graduated, performance was kind of had been beat out of me a little bit. But, through all those different career paths and those stepping stones, I realized the gap, it was still there. And I realized it wasn't going to be filled by someone with a PhD or someone, with an MD. It wasn't anywhere in a textbook. I looked and looked and looked. And I realized if that gap was going to be filled, it was going to be me. So I set out to become the person that I didn't have and the person that I needed. And in 2017, I started YIB. And that's kind of where this all began. It stemmed actually from an identity crisis that I had when I moved from New York to Chicago. I was like, who am I without this city? And it led me here, which is the greatest gift that I've ever been given, truly, besides my daughter, is YIB.
That's beautiful. Could you explain to people who do not know what Your
Yeah.
Inner Babe is, the whole gist of it, how you even founded it, the whole story behind it?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like the foundation, I guess, behind it. But YIB is a community. I work with people of all ages on learning the skill of self-connection, of relationship. I mean, from the second that we're born, we're taught how to be in a relationship with other people, right? Whether you have siblings, obviously you have parents or caregivers, you have grandparents, teachers as you get older, coworkers, friends. We're constantly taught how to be in relationship and connect, communicate, be loyal, trusting, all these things with other people outside of us, but we are never taught how to do any of these things with ourselves. We're just supposed to have this like innate knowing. And, some of us maybe have a bit more than others, but for the most part, we don't, right? Like it's something we have to learn. And so I've set out to help people learn that skill so that that skill can be put into practice day to day with commitment and consistency. You can hone the muscle and you can really connect to yourself, and your whole life is built on that relationship. I'm a big believer that the foundation of our life, our entire reality, is set on how deeply connected we are to ourselves. So that is what Your Inner Babe does, is through group coaching, retreats. I think that's what you mentioned, the experience that she was on. Yep. Retreats, workshops that I run in various cities around the US. That's ultimately always my goal, is give you an opportunity to remind you of the truth of who you are. Because if you can continuously come back home, that's it. That is it. People want it to be more than that. It's not more than that. That's what it is. That's
I love that. Especially in the world we're living in today. The energy is wild. There's so much going on externally. It's so important to stay grounded and remember who you are.
Yeah, have to. I mean, there's so much, like you said, going on, and we have zero control over anything that happens outside of us. The only thing we have control over is how we show up for ourselves and what we
Mhm.
do amidst everything that's happening.
Yeah. One thing that I actually purchased of yours is your
Hmm.
reconnection deck.
Love it.
My friend told me about this deck. I have
Hmm.
a million oracles and I use it every day. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Where did
Oh,
that
thank you.
concept come from? How did
Yeah.
you create that?
So you just mentioned oracle cards, tarot cards. I love all of that. I'm someone who, has gotten readings, gets readings, love it. But I wanted to create a deck where you didn't have to outsource for that answer, right? I mean, you can learn how to pull your own tarot cards, you can pull your own oracle cards, but there's then like that book that you look up the card, you're like, what does this mean, right? You have to kind of look outside of yourself to understand and decode the message. I wanted to create a deck where you could sit with yourself, a really true, accessible tool for you to connect to yourself in any moment, at any point throughout the day. And that's what the reconnection deck is. It's a tool for you to use to ask yourself, put your hands on your heart and ask yourself for the message. What do I need to hear today? What do you want me to know?
Mhm.
And you shuffle the deck, you pull the cards. I always pull, well, I pull two and look at the bottom for what's on the bottom of the deck. That's my third card. And, it's magic. It gives you exactly what you need to hear. It's pretty unbelievable. And every card and there's 50 cards in the deck. Every card has a message and an affirmation. And you just ultimately trust that whatever you pull is what you needed to hear.
Hmm. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that product you created. Do you have any other products?
I have a journal. It's
Mm.
called the Connection Journal. You could use them together. You could use them separately. It's structured. So
Mm.
I'm a big believer that structure is really helpful, especially for someone who's like just started on this connection journey with themselves. When it comes to like, think about any sort of skill that you learn, soccer, weightlifting, whatever it might be. When you first start to practice, the smaller the baby steps, like that's how you really get better. And so I think structure is helpful. The connection journal, it's not just like you open the journal, it's blank pages. It walks you through various different tools and practices from the YAB method, prompts you to ask yourself how you're feeling. I'm really big on checking in with that throughout the day. I mean, how are you is a question we ask other people all the time. How often
Mhm.
do you really ask yourself, like, wait, how are you? How are you doing? Like, not often. So that's really how it starts your writing. And then it asks you questions. What do I need today? What do I want today? And then at the end of each week, there's a prompt. And then at the end of the whole 8 weeks, there's a whole week of prompts. But ultimately, like I said, you could use them together. Like you could pull cards, use that to sort of jumpstart your writing, or you can use them separately. But just I wanted to create tools that if people couldn't do a group, if they weren't able to come to a retreat for whatever reason, they could use these tools and that's how they could start right now.
Mm.
That's how
I love
that
that.
gap could be bridged right now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. And that's perfect for people who don't always journal too.
Correct. Totally. And that's the deck. I just had this conversation yesterday with someone. She was like, I'm not, I don't love to write, or like I haven't figured out my writing practice. And, everyone loves writing, so I really should start writing, or I guess I need to start writing. And
Mm.
one of the first things that I do with people is have them begin to audit the way that they speak to themselves about themselves. Um, because we don't realize it's so subconscious how unsupportive we are, and, need to, have to, should, not the most supportive language, right? If you tell yourself, like,
Mhm.
I need to do this or I have to do this, even if you must do it, it's not versus saying it's something I get to do or want to do or I'm going to choose to do this, just different energy behind the words,
Yeah.
So I was explaining to her, I'm like, you don't need to write. You don't need to journal. You get to if you choose to, if you want to. But if you don't, that's also okay. If it's not your tool, it's not your tool. And
Mhm.
that's why I love the deck, because it really takes a couple minutes to shuffle, ask yourself what I need to hear, pull, and it still is a connection point.
Mhm. And even if you don't have a journal practice, pulling a card could spark
Mhm.
something that you want to write down.
100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's
I
kind of,
love
and
that.
so that's why we take away the like need to pressure, have to pressure, because then if you let yourself just kind of come to it on your own, you're more likely to be like, wait, maybe I do have something to say, right? Like, or, oh, I like love this message. That just made me think about something. Let me take the pen to paper, right?
Mhm.
And I always tell people too, you can even open up your phone and voice note yourself.
Ooh, I've never done
Like,
that before. That's so
oh my
fun.
God, I do it all the time. Yeah, like walking down the street, no one's gonna know if you're not voice noting somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Just talk, just let it out. And you can
Mm,
delete it after. You don't have to listen to it back. Just let it go. But clear the clutter in your mind because we live with so much on our minds. Get it out.
mhm. Oh, I
Get
love
it out
that.
so you
And
can
then
hear
you're
your
not
voice.
holding it in your body either. You're letting it
Totally.
go.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fabulous. And you mentioned live experiences. You have a one-on-one container, it sounded like, and retreats. What do those look like?
So I don't actually work one on one with people until
Okay.
they've moved through group. Everything I do is group.
Mm,
And I'm a big believer that being seen as medicine.
mm,
I mean, all the group work that I've done in my life has been the most transformative work that I've done. And I was super resistant in the beginning. I didn't want to do group. I didn't want to be seen, but being seen as medicine. And
mm,
it's medicine. Sometimes we don't even realize like we need until we allow ourselves the opportunity to see ourselves through the lens of somebody else's experience. It's like we think we're the only ones moving through what we're moving through or feeling what we're feeling, and then somebody says something and you're like, I just said that to myself last night, or I just experienced that last week, right? And you're like, oh my God, maybe I'm not crazy, or
mm.
maybe I'm not so bizarre or weird or broken or fucked up. Sorry, hope I can swear.
No, that's fine.
But everything I do is in group. So I do small groups, which is reconnected. It is I guess we can call it the signature group program of YIB. It's 6 people, 8 people max, but really 6.
Mhm.
And it's all virtual. And that's 8 weeks, 90 minutes a week, structured again. And then I do Recharge, which is a newer program that I just launched and I'm in love with it. It's 12 weeks and it's 15 to 20 people and it's not as structured. It's not as consecutive. Reconnected is consecutive. You don't want to miss a session because if you miss one, we'll make sure you're not behind, but you might feel like you've missed out.
Mm,
Recharge, the whole point of Recharge is to bridge the gap constantly, right? For your seasonal growth, because we're always changing, right? We're
mhm,
always evolving. Something is always coming up. And Recharge allows me to really meet whatever is there at the time that it's there. One of my greatest gifts is really being able to read the energy of a group and meet it in that moment and provide, whatever is needed in the space. So Recharge really allows me to kind of intuitively feel what practice or tool or connection point is necessary. And that's kind of how retreat is, which gets me to retreat, which is 3 days in person. And it's called Disconnect to Reconnect. And I take your phone, we take your
mm,
devices, we really, you disconnect so you can reconnect to you. It's not meant to be an escape. It's meant to be a return, a chance to really come back home. But it's an intensive for sure. You're with me 2 workshops a day, roughly 2 hours each, but it's amazing. They're all amazing. It's just kind of depends on what you crave.
That sounds beautiful. That
Mhm.
sounds like a wonderful community you're creating. Do you ever notice that in these certain containers that the people that are in there stay connected and like work
Oh
with each
yeah.
other?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have chills. Someone just voice noted me before this and she was like, I just have to say this. No, I didn't even remember I told people that I had an ultrasound today, but she's newly pregnant and she's
Mm,
like, I didn't remember I told people I had an ultrasound today, but like 6 people from YIB texted me just like saying, love you, good luck,
mm,
whatever. And she was like, this community is, I feel like I manifested relationships of people who really see me and understand me. And that's really what I feel like you've cultivated is this community of people who truly see each other. And I would say it's because when you set out on this work and you set to connect to yourself, you begin to truly see you. And if
mm,
you begin to see yourself, it's a mirror, right? Like
mhm,
there's 2 ways to spread light. You are ultimately your own flame, right? That's illuminated and lit. And then you're also a mirror that reflects the light back to somebody else. And so I mean, that's been a dream is that people stay connected and work together or, hang out or do whatever they need to do. But yeah, of
mhm.
course.
That is so beautiful. And I always feel like when you're able to soften in those situations, your gifts come forward even
Hmm.
more.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. That just sounds so beautiful. Thank you for
You're gonna
doing
have to
that.
come.
I know,
And I
seriously.
just no, no. Well, let's walk it back because I just said have to. You don't have to do anything, but you can if you choose
Yeah.
to. Would love to have you. But see, it's so subconscious. Like that's what I tell people. Like, this is my job, and there are many, many times that I catch myself saying, "I need to do that." Nope, I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
do anything. Right? You have it's just a constant practice. So
Mm-hmm.
don't if you're listening and you're like, "Wow, oh my God, I've said need to like already 4 times while I've been listening to this podcast." It's you're gonna have to. Oh my God, see,
Yeah.
you're going to catch yourself and shift it in the moment. That's the point. It's a practice. It's a practice. It's a practice, and it does get easier.
Mm.
100%.
I love that. And have you ever done where you write a sentence over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I will do that if I say stuff like that and I want to rewire my brain. I'll
Yeah.
rewrite it the right way to try and
Mm-hmm.
like train myself because it is you really
Totally.
retraining your brain.
Absolutely. It's a complete rewire. That's what it is.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I also recently started following you after my friend told me about you.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your weekend takeaways on social
Uh,
media.
uh,
I tried to
uh,
do that the
uh,
past like 2 weeks. This weekend I couldn't. I couldn't do it. But your retreats and taking your
mm-hmm.
phone away is so
Mm-hmm.
powerful. I
Mm-hmm.
just my little mini breaks from social media is life
Mm-hmm.
changing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. I mean, part of my job is obviously through social. So I don't feel like I'm able to walk away as often as maybe I would like. So the weekends, giving myself the weekend has like become something I look forward to. It doesn't mean that I'm not on my phone. It doesn't mean that I don't
Hmm.
capture things, right? Like I do a recap every Monday. But it just gives me more, it gives me my presence back. It makes me feel like I sort of have the say, right?
Hmm.
I'm not glued to my phone. I'm not responsible for anything except myself and my family and like where I want to be. So and I think the more present we are, obviously, the more we see, the more we feel, the more we actually experience. And that's the point of disconnect to reconnect, is for you to really be there. So if I'm not in my phone, I'm really here.
Hmm.
And that's kind of my point of the social media less weekends.
Hmm. Could you explain maybe what one of those workshops feels like?
Mm-hmm. At the retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends. I've changed October retreat. So I have one coming up in October, and we've run 4 now. October will be 5. And so the first 4, they all build off of each other. And it's funny because people are like, the first day is intense. And at the end of the day, people are like, looking at me like, what did I sign myself up for? And I'm like, just trust the process, like what goes up must come down. Like, I promise you, I've got you. Um, but for the last 4, one of the workshops was centered around self-judgment and self-judgment spirals, and realizing how it's really just an interference. How we're not, when it's happening, when self-judgment happens and that spiral starts to happen, we're not quick to really interrupt it. But if we realize and we kind of pick it apart and dissect it a little bit by asking it 4 separate questions, we realize at the end of the day that none of it is true, right? It's all fear-based or doubt. And we start to take the ownership over the story again, by unraveling it a bit. And then that workshop builds into a pain tracing workshop where we use music to kind of go back and trace pain points in our life. Um, Ultimately, that whole first day is really about ownership,
Hmm.
taking ownership over the things that have hurt us or challenged us, things that we feel shame about, for things that we feel we need to forgive ourselves for, because we give our power away to people, to things, to everything outside of us. And it doesn't mean others haven't contributed and people haven't participated and things haven't happened. It just means if we can take the power back, then
Hmm.
we actually get to decide what we do with that power, and
Hmm.
how much of it and how much energy we want to give, like, outside of ourselves, and take it back and put it back into ourselves.
Hmm.
um I mean, I know that's a little vague. You maybe wanted a little bit more. I never tell anybody
Yeah.
exactly what we do, in whether
Yeah.
it's in group or retreat. I want you to trust that if and when you come, you're getting what you're ready for when you're ready for it.
Hmm. That's beautiful. That sounds a lot like energy work.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of it for sure.
Mhm.
I'm an intuitive, so I'm big on that. And
Love
I
it.
mean, other than reconnected, both retreat and recharge, like I said, it gives me a chance that if, like, I always have a plan for the most part. But if the group sits down and I'm up there and I'm like, oh, this is not it, right?
Mm,
I can kind of go rogue and I can change depending on what is needed. And I would do that in Reconnected too, but I still try and follow because that program is at this point like proven it's helped thousands of people. I stay to some sort of an outline, but
mm-hmm,
I think that's what's important when you're talking about energy is like really truly meeting the energy.
mm-hmm. Well, that makes you a trustworthy source because you're
I
able
hope
to
so.
tap into everyone and go with the flow.
I
It
hope
feels
so.
like you're like in your feminine when you're doing it.
I would say so, definitely.
Mm-hmm,
I start things too by telling people, like, trust me, of course. We want you to trust me, but it's
mm-hmm,
about trusting yourself. And
mm-hmm,
I think that is what's so beautiful to witness is the transformation from, you know, inception point to the end is somebody's just like softening,
mm,
right? Like they're softening back into themselves. It's like, ooh, you see someone like their walls, and we all have walls, we all have armor, something that we stand behind that protected us from once upon a time that we decide to take off or come out from behind because it's no longer protecting us. It's actually limiting us and holding us back. And
yep.
I see it one by one, like
Mm,
people take off the armor, they step out from behind the wall. Like you're like, oh my God, that person's here, you know, and they feel it
mm-hmm.
too. It's really, really cool. Super
That's
powerful.
magical. That's magical.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about mirrors earlier.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is a mirror, everything you come in contact with. Do you
Mm-hmm.
notice that in the work you're doing, it mirrors in your own life if you're comfortable
Oh
talking
my
about
God.
that?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the more I do this work, the more people that I sit with, it's like the more I'm reminded that there's no end, right? That this is a constant journey. I've been on a fertility journey this whole last year.
Mm,
And I think there are so many messengers put on our path. And it's like the amount of clients that have come into my life in the last year who have either been on their own fertility journey or who are pregnant or who are this, like it's a constant mirror. And it's made me so grateful for every experience, even if it's hard,
mm,
right? Even if it's really challenged me and like knocked me down. Um, it makes me really grateful for those layers that I gain every time I move through something because I'm then able to see that person deeper, right?
mm.
Compassion is one thing, but empathy is another. So yeah, it's unbelievable. It never ceases to amaze me. It's wild. Like I'm like, wow. You would think I'd be like desensitized to it at this point. I'm not. I'm not. I'm always
Yeah,
blown away.
that's so fun. I love that.
Mm,
And as you flow in your own experiences that you create, have you noticed that your business has to flow and grow as you evolve?
definitely. Yeah. Every iteration of YIB has evolved as I've evolved. And even if I've resisted that, because I have at times, right? If I don't feel ready for the growth, or if I'm like scared to let go of something because it was once foundational to the business, or something I got really comfortable in, if I've outgrown it
Mhm,
because I've grown, the longer I hold, like the more it just keeps me small. The second I let go, like there's another, the universe responds really fast. So, I'm actually in kind of one of those pain points right now, growing
oh,
pains,
really?
if we'll call it. Yeah, just recognizing like, ooh, I'm feeling so lit up by different elements of things, right? Like we're talking about this new program, Recharge and Retreat. Like I love being able to kind of move with the moment. I just do. And
Mhm,
so, and my dream with YIB is to one day, you know, be on stage hitting the masses, doing this live in the moment for thousands of people. So I just, what's going to get me there, right? And
mhm,
trusting that if I'm feeling something, it's because it's getting me closer to that, and
mhm,
not just hanging on to something that once was because it's what I knew.
mhm. Yeah. What are your tools that you use whenever you experience self-doubt? What's your go-to?
Great question. I'm a big mirror, speaking of mirror
Mhm,
talker. I look
mm.
up because my bathroom mirror is right here. It's the last conversation I had was in this mirror right here.
Love it.
I mean, I'm cards. Obviously, I pull my cards all the time. I'm a big writer, a big speaker to
Mhm,
myself, but mirror work is probably, I would say, one of the fastest working tools in my repertoire, if we want to
mhm,
call it that.
mhm,
I mean, I'll give you an example. I have travel anxiety.
mm.
Not like I don't care about turbulence. Once I'm there, I'm good. But getting to the
Yeah.
airport in general gives me anxiety. Since I
Mm-hmm.
had my daughter, it's been, I think it always probably did, but it's gotten much worse
Mm-hmm.
as I've gotten older. And I was going in and out of New York this last week to do a podcast, and it was like 4 a.m. and I was sitting on my bathroom floor and I was like talking myself out of why I didn't have to go. I'm like, you don't have to go. She gave you the virtual option, like, and it was all my anxiety talking, like totally, why are you going? Da 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 da. And I'm sitting right here and I'm like, okay, there's no one to talk to about this right now. It's 4 a.m. My husband was away for work. No one's awake. I'm like, it's because it's time for you to talk to you. So get up. I got up and I looked in the mirror and I was just like, what's up? What's up? Do you not want to go? What's really the worst case scenario? And I kind of unraveled that with myself, stopped the judgment spiral, asked myself some questions to kind of get to the bottom of it. And then I was like, let's talk best case scenario. And we talked best case scenario, me and me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so you want to go? Yeah, you want to go? Let's go. And then I got myself there and it actually ended up being amazing. And like I had different synchronicities that happened along the way. Like with my travel, it was like it couldn't have gone smoother.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe it was because I challenged myself in a loving way. People say all the time, like, how do you talk about not having to or needing to, but how do you like challenge yourself then? And I just think it's about validating what's actually there while
Mm-hmm.
still encouraging. There's a difference between like rigidly forcing yourself through a moment versus meeting yourself where you are. So
Mm-hmm.
I could have like beat myself down in that moment and judged myself through that and been like, you're such a loser. Like, get up. What are you doing? Go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have work. You get on the plane. It's going to be fine. Or I could have validated where I was, which was anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You're anxious. Totally. Why? Okay, cool. But there's also this possibility. If you feel ready, can we go? Oh, you do? Great. Let's go. Right. Like I think about my daughter all the time. Like there's a way to challenge her and encourage her to grow and experience new things versus force her into things.
Mm.
And why would I parent her any different than I'd parent myself?
I love that. I love that. Having children just changes your
Oh,
perspective
I'm
on
talking about a mirror.
everything.
This whole
100%.
this episode should be called Mirror.
Literally.
It's all about the mirror. Literally.
Literally. And I've actually done a lot of mirror work in a spiritual way too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done like mirror gazing and the morphing
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it? That just like made
Mm-hmm.
me think of that. I don't know why, but
Totally.
so
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Everything
So
with
powerful.
mirrors is so powerful. I love that
Yeah.
you talk to yourself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Oh
never
yeah.
done that.
No
We should
shame.
all collectively try that.
Well, you don't should
You don't
yourself.
should.
You get to if you
feel
choose to.
called to.
If you want to. Yes. 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 Yes.
I love that.
Mhm.
And you talked a little bit about a retreat coming up in October.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
other experiences do you have coming up?
So I am doing this in-person retreat in October. I have a section of Reconnected, which is like that signature structured 8-week program in August. I just am about to start Recharge summer season. So Recharge is split up in the season. So summer, fall, winter, spring, seasons change, and so do you. So each season will be 12 weeks and it meets you with the different kind of like vibe of the season. So summer starts next week. And then I'll be running various workshops. I mean, the one that I can think of right off the top of my head, there will be Chicago workshops. There will be a New York workshop, but there's a Dallas workshop, which is something we've never done before, coming up in November. But October retreat, I mentioned I'm redoing it from the 4 that we've already done, and I am bringing mirrors. There will be some mirrors there. That's
I
all I'll
love
say.
that. Love
That's
that.
all I'll say.
That's magical.
Mhm.
And how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you in some capacity?
Yeah, I mean, you can always DM me at Jacq Gould. I will always, always respond. We could book, I do free sessions, Zoom sessions. I love to meet you face to face. I think that's important. So we could do that. We could talk about the best way that I can support you, kind of tell me more about you and connect like that. But yeah, that's really it. Find me there. That's where I
Love
am.
it.
I'm always here.
Love
I
it.
got you.
Thank you so much for coming on today. This was a great
Thank you.
conversation.
Oh my God,
And
this is the quickest, easiest, most amazing combo I've ever had.
I love it. And everyone should go get your, not should, but you
If
would,
you feel
if
called,
you feel called, the reconnection deck. I love it so much.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
beautiful intention piece that you put out there.
yeah, maybe we'll give you guys a code. We'll give
Ooh,
listeners a code.
would love
Hold
that.
me to it.
Thank you so much for coming on,
Thank
Jacq.
you.
This was great.
Thank you for having me.
Visit ablealchemy.com to download your free chakra journal and to learn more about Able Alchemy. This is a place where your dreams and reality align through services like tarot and astrology readings, sound bath sessions, and intuitive branding for businesses looking to align with their manifestations and purpose through soul-led studies such as astrology, business energy analysis, and chakra color theory. Follow along with Able Alchemy on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time.